Welcome to the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Just ahead, author, The Enthusiast Guide to Car Collecting. We talked to Greg Stanley. Plus, Jeff has the racing calendar. We'll have This Week in Auto History, and I'll have some of the stories making automotive news headlines this week. Howdy, along with Mike out of This World Mars. There he is over there. We always need more Jeff Zekin, Chief Engineer David Ainsley. I'm Don Armstrong. Glad you could join us for our live show here on this Saturday morning. Every Saturday morning from 10 to noon, we try to do a live show. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But you know, we give it the. I see. Look at Mars over there nodding his head with a smile on his face and prayers in his pocket
every morning. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're all that way. All right, let's talk to our next guest. His name is Greg Stanley, author of The Enthusiast Guide to Car Collecting. Greg, good morning. How are you?
Good. How are y'all doing?
Where are you, Greg? What, are you in the shop? Is that a green screen?
Yeah, that's actually my garage. And strangely enough, both of those cars have been sold. I don't know why it keeps showing up, but one is a unrestored Pontiac GTO on the bottom. And that was on Jay Leno's garage about 2 years ago. And then the one up top is a kind of a beater Mustang, but it's a K-Code Hypo fastback. And,
oh, my gosh.
Unfortunately, they're both gone. So I have two empty spots in my garage. So if you have something for me, let me know.
You know what? Listen, as a car guy, we always got something for you, Greg. We can fill those slots. How much you got in your pocket? How much you willing to spend? You know, that's
I like that '67 Vet. I love the Stinger hood on it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I love that.
I've seen them on Hemmings auto auction, and I'm sure that you could find one on there.
I decided to let the car come to me. Both those cars behind me came to me. I didn't search them out, so I'm like, all right, let's see what comes around the bend. You know.
So people know you, Greg, because I know how that works, and it's like, hey, Greg's got a pocket full of cash because he sold those two cars.
I'm going to go out on a limb here,
and he's got an empty bay in the garage.
Yeah, two of them
actually.
Yep. I'm thinking, Greg, there's a Buick in your future.
Okay.
Grand National.
Well, it's going to come to you, brother. It's going to come to you.
So you like collecting cars that are unique and sought after. That's your thing, I got a feeling.
Yeah, something that has a story or is like a peak performance of the era. Now, let me start with, I saw how you closed the last section about cheap cars, and my first car was a 68 Mustang Coupe for $1,000 with a 6-cylinder and a 3-speed. So I'm all about cheap cars.
Yeah.
It's all about the experience. And it's the enthusiast guide to collector cars, not car collecting. So it's more of an entry guide into the world of collector cars. I don't really talk about collecting cars other than kind of like, well, if you want a Mercedes 300 Gullwing, maybe don't start there. Maybe start with an entry-level Mercedes of the same era.
So what you said in the beginning, you want the car to come to you. So that's probably, is that part of the book that, you know, are you recommending folks do that within the book, or are you actively going out and pursuing a vehicle through the book?
No, I tell in the book, I encourage people to be educated about, you know, the first collector car they might pursue. You might like something, but you know what? You have no idea about it. And I go back to when I wanted an old Mustang when I was like 19 years old, 17 years old, long time ago. And someone told me, you know, when you're looking at these old cars, you don't know what's right and what's wrong. And they said, well, they suggested I join the local club, you know, so I joined the Mustang Club. I became an MCA judge. And, you know, I did that because when I looked at a car, I wanted to know what was right as well as what was wrong to make an educated purchase.
Yeah, what to look for.
Yeah. Because you know this, there's so much crap out there.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Yes.
Definitely.
Yeah. And speaking of that, you know, if you're starting off, you got to start off with buying something.
Yeah.
And, you know, you may be driving it already and not know it. For instance, we didn't know it at the time. I'm thinking of the Buick, the GS. I mean, you know, they were higher priced cars at the time, but they weren't something that I remember people seeking out, except for real, honest to good, performance-oriented guys.
Yeah.
And then they went into the aftermarket, and then it's kind of like lost its zest. But now those cars are well sought after, and they're getting some big bucks in the
Sleeper
Florida
hot
stores.
rods. Yeah, like the old Pontiac Bonnevilles and things. Big motor, big car, and it hauled tail.
You agree?
Yeah.
I do agree, absolutely. And in my book, I actually talk about the Grand National as the American muscle car that kind of kept the muscle car alive. I mean, if you think about it, back in that era,
Yep.
I'm a
There
Mustang
weren't
guy,
any.
but Fox Body Mustangs weren't fast. You know, they had, yes, they had a V8, but 220 horsepower. They made a lot of noise, but they weren't fast. That Grand National was faster than the Testarossa of the day, and it's what kept kind of the muscle car flame alive in the malaise era, as we like to say.
I'm going to put Greg on my Christmas list. He's talking about Grand Nationals and all that. Oh, I'm just.
Hey, you know what? I'll talk about Catalina's. I looked at a
Oh, yeah.
421 the other day.
Well, for Jeff has been known to go to the dealership and buy the emblem and put it on the side of his Buick or whatever it is that he's driving. So
That's
people,
not true.
Well, it is true because he had a what was the Cadillac wagon?
It was a Cadillac SRX. I had it washed at a Cadillac dealership. The logo or the tag for the 3.6 came off the back. And they said they didn't have one, but they had a V. I said, put it on. So they put a V on the back, and I had an SRX V. And I used to get comments, hey, man, is that really? It's an SRX. That's right.
That's right. That's SRX V. No, not. So he's been known to do this sort of things. So
Well,
One
it's funny you
time,
say that. I was at a cruising yesterday, and a guy had a 69 Mach 1 428 shaker hood. I'm like, is that the original 428? No, I said, is that an R code? Because you had the R code or you had the Q code. He's like, no, it's an S code, which is a 390 big block. It's a big block, but he had 428 badges all over that thing.
yeah. Well, there are those, and there are people like me that would go buy that car when it's at a show, a car, wherever it is. The guy opens a hood, and he'd tell me, "Hey, man, this is this." And I would believe him because I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is that, and I'm sure that you've dealt with that. And you've probably been fooled a time or two, I would guess. You've been around long enough that you're going, well, isn't that a... And the guy goes, oh, yeah, it is. And it's really not.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be so careful nowadays. It's crazy. And, just because you buy a car, you're going to make a mistake, especially in your first one, And so that 68 Mustang I bought, I didn't know how to work on an old car, and I would drive it and it would conk out like it wasn't getting fuel. And eventually I realized that there was so much rust in the gas tank, it was clogging the fuel filter.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't have any money. And so when it would do that, I would pull over, I'd pull out the fuel filter, shake out the rust. I put the same fuel filter back on it. And I did that for like a year and a half because college kids have no money.
Yeah.
No. So would your book, the collector's guide, would that help somebody with some of that stuff, kind of working through it?
Yeah. So in the collector's guide, I really wanted to give an overview of every car era. So it's not a deep dive. It's not like, the cylinder wall thickness of a 917 Porsche, anything like that. But it's like, what is the era, like brass era? What is that? Why is that important? What are some innovations of the time? Why do these cars matter? But then it also has collector considerations. So if you do want to buy one of these cars, what are some things to think about before you do purchase one of those? I do like a timeline of the era. Like, back then they didn't know if we're using a steering wheel or a tiller, right side, left side. So what was some of the innovations that occurred during that era? And then I also have like what I call the collector's ladder. So what's an entry level brass era car? What's a mid level? And then what's a blue chip? And I throw in some fun auction results because those are always fun. But it's really meant to give an overview of all the eras of this hobby we love so much, but in an easy, accessible, you can read it like in 5 hours. I mean, it is 400 pages, but there's like a ton of pictures and fun facts. Should be an easy read. And it's the first in a series. So I'm working on the Enthusiast Guide to Porsches now. I'll do American Performance at some point, which will have obviously Buicks and Pontiacs and Vipers and all that kind of stuff. So
there you go.
So, Greg, what are your thoughts about going to auctions and maybe perhaps finding a car that you think you like and buying a car on the auction scene?
I think you need to have a car specialist with you, I guess is the best way to put it. You need to do your research. I guess that's the best thing to say. I worked as a car specialist with RM Sotheby's for a few years, and the smartest buyers were the ones that reviewed the car ahead of time. Maybe they had the specialist drive it for them, did all the homework, because there's some incredibly great cars. And it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for an entry-level car, that's a lot harder than if you're looking for like Clark Gable's Duesenberg that everybody's known about for 40 years. Like you could go out there and say, all right, I know what this car is. This is it. It's legit. Whereas if you're going to find your first $15,000 car, you have a lot more stuff to kind of wade through to figure that out. So yeah, definitely need to do your
Now,
homework.
when you said $15,000 car, that seems to me to be kind of a sweet spot to get going in the car collector market, because I think that there are a few of those out there that are decent to invest in, maybe keep for a couple of years, and then move on to something else or add to the collection.
Yeah, or maybe a project.
Yeah, what do you feel about that?
I love that. And I think, you guys might scoff at me, but one of your cheapest ways into the collector car hobby is like a 57 Chevy Bel Air 4-door.
Yep.
You got some great looks to it. You can still get the V8. You can learn everything you want. I know where there is one that I should buy. I'm just like, why am I not buying this car? Black with red interior. And yeah, people, you know what? The 4-door hurdle is getting much lower with today's enthusiasts because they're used to high performance 4-doors. So, a 4-door of any generation is a very easy way to get into the hobby. And then maybe if you do want to keep that going, maybe, you graduate to a, 57 fuel injected, convertible Bel Air, like there's ways to get in inexpensively, especially now. Like I bought my wife a 05 Boxster S, more expensive, but it was 30 grand. It's a 20-year-old car. And at the time, it only had 2,000 miles on it. It was in a collection since new. And, you could buy a really nice early 2000s sports car for 15 grand.
So your book will help anybody from a concourse enthusiast to maybe the guy that wants the 72 Dodge, whatever. So it covers all of that. It'll help them out in those categories. Yeah.
And also it'll help folks understand the other eras. So I've always been a muscle car pony, guy. I judge Ferraris. So I like that. I like supercars. I never appreciated the classic era until I researched them. I mean, those cars from like 1928, I think, to 1948, the ones that are at Pebble Beach, those are some of the most special and important cars in the world. And people have been telling me that for years, but I didn't understand it until I researched the era. And I think that's, if you like, my goal is a kid only likes the cars from Ferrari Testarossa or the newest hypercar. Well, Duesenberg was the fastest car for 2 decades. Let's talk about the Duesenberg that was the Ferrari of its time, just exposing new enthusiasts, whether they're 15 or, 80, to the entire spectrum of the collector car world, not just one little snippet.
Well, Greg, you talked about the 57 4-door, and at this point in our lives, the 57 was a long time ago, and a really nice one has been in some sort of a collection or in somebody's garage. It's been massaged, chances are. Yep. And, you don't have to deal with the rust and the other problems that come with a car that old. And if you do your homework and you look for one, you're probably going to find one that suits your needs, but it's not going to be the 2-door fuel injected.
Correct. Yeah. And, probably has disc brakes on the front, probably has power steering, probably has a 350 that you could work on anytime.
And air conditioning.
A lot of good, upgrades, so to speak, without spending, 600 grand for one of these crazy resto mods at Bear Jackson.
Yeah. And let me tell you something, a black with a red interior with some nice white walls on it. That's one of those that you would take to, the symphony on a Saturday night with the wife. Yeah. And pray to God that the guy that's going to park the car knows what he's doing.
But see, also he doesn't take it for that joyride while you're inside.
I see some other things because you're looking at the 4-door Bel Air, red interior, black, and then there's another shiny object that comes in. You're going, ooh, look at that. Maybe I want to look into that. So if that one goes away and you're looking at something else, that's the challenge I see. What are you going to land on?
Right. And to me, Greg, and since you've actually worked for an auction company, one good way to put your toe in the water, so to speak, is to go to a few auctions, not with the intent of buying something, but just to look and see where the car wound up on the auction block and what it actually sold for, to give you some real idea about the hobby.
Absolutely. And I love going to Mecum, Indianapolis. I'm based out of Cincinnati. And it's a game I do with my friends. I'm like, all right, everybody, we got to pick 30 grand. All of us picked the car that we would buy if we were real buyers.
And don't tell each other until the end.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
But even at car shows now, I went to a car show yesterday and I'm like, all right, what actually interests me at this car show that I would actually be interested in buying? And it's really interesting. The only two cars one I can't afford, but two I can't afford. But one of them was a 63 silver with red interior, split window, 4-speed. I'm like, that's a great combination.
Yes.
Can't afford that. The other was a Pontiac Bonneville 421 convertible tricarb.
Ooh.
Black interior, silver with a black top. And neither were for sale. It's just a game. Then there was a Porsche GT3. So I'm like, well, maybe I could afford the Catalina, But like I said, none of these cars were for sale. It was just like dream wishing while I'm walking around.
So let me ask you.
That's the thing. You mentioned Meekum. Meekum comes to Houston, and we've been there a couple of times with the show. But if you're trying to figure out what you want to do, that is a great car show just to go there and walk through all the cars. They try and have 1,000 here in Houston. That's a lot of cars to go look at, even before they hit the auction block.
Yeah, I'm headed to Monterey next week, and Broad Arrow, it's just been announced. They've become the biggest sponsor of my podcast and my book series. And so I'll be hanging out at Broad Arrow. And if you look at some of their cars, they're absolutely unbelievable. I know the headline car is a black Enzo with red interior that's going at no reserve, which that's just an insane car, but they're pretty deep. And then you look at all the auction houses. I mean, Sotheby's has got, some estate sales that are just mind bending, and then, that's a lot of those auction houses. It's as good as a concours show. And you see the cars be driven up to the stage and started up, people looking at them. So it's just a wonderful event to go to.
I'm thinking that you've got 2 slots there in the garage, a pocket full of
You
cash.
gotta help me.
Yeah, pocket full of cash, and you're just waiting for that moment to get that next car in the collection. What is it that you're really going to go after now?
I say I'm waiting for the car to come to me, but I've got 2 that I have known for like 5 years, and they might be available. And this is a turn because I want the experience. I don't want to always have a Mustang. I don't always want to have a muscle car. I want to try new cars, new experiences. So one of them is 97 BMW M3 4-door. But what's key is my friend bought it new. It only has like 9,500 miles on it. And boy, you talk about the next generation getting excited about a car. That's the one they're excited about. The other one is a 79 Porsche, just a regular 911. And I would love to have an air-cooled Porsche and just to try it out once. And those are the 2 that are on my immediate radar. But I think I'd like to try something German. A friend of mine's got a 72 Mercedes 3.5 2-door coupe that might be interesting, So I don't know.
Really, it boils down to blonde or brunette. That's the way I look at it.
I'm all over the place.
Yeah, something. Hey, Greg, it's great to talk to you. And we thank you so much for joining us today. Great book, The Enthusiast Guide to Car Collecting. Greg Stanley is his name. Thanks so much. Hey, keep in touch with us. Let us know how things go.
Get to that muscle car book, definitely.
I will, for sure.
All right, Greg. Thanks again. Appreciate
Thanks,
you. All right. Hey, just ahead, Jeff has the racing calendar. Mars has This Week in Auto History. And I'll bring you this week's automotive news headlines. All coming up here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. We're back right after this. The Tex-Mex dining experience is defined by Lupe Tortilla, your destination for Texas's best beef fajitas and frozen margaritas. Since 1983, Lupe Tortilla has served authentic and time-tested recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Atmosphere is part of the award-winning experience at Lupe Tortilla, all developed in a little house near Highway 6 and I-10 in Houston. Visit any of the Lupe Tortillas and you'll see the same attention to detail in each and every location. Start your Lupe experience with queso flammeado and guacamole, along with a classic frozen margarita. Dine on famous Lupe beef and chicken fajitas or pepper shrimp brochette, or a fish or vegetarian entree, and finish with a scrumptious flan for dessert. Find Lupe Tortilla in Houston, College Station, Beaumont, Austin, San Antonio, and Dallas-Fort Worth. There's a Texas location near you. The recipes are authentic and time-tested. The ingredients always fresh. Lupe Tortilla. Eats pretty good. The In Wheel Time Car Talk Show thanks you for 15 wonderful years. Yep, our first show aired May 7th, 2011 on a local radio station. Then it was a move to the digital world and social media, and you followed. Thank you. We continue to build and grow our fan base, and it's all because of you and your auto enthusiast friends. We appreciate your support. It's always great to see you at our remote broadcast, too, and we hope you'll continue to stop by and say hello. It's been a great ride, and we hope to bring you more fun and adventure right here on the In Wheel Time Car Talk Show. Did you say?
Fun and adventure.
Yes.
I was repeating the
It
commercial.
is adventurous. There's no doubt about
And
it.
it's fun.
In Real Time Car Talk Show live edition on the air at 10 to noon Central. Listen and watch every Saturday here on InWheelTime.com, Facebook, and YouTube. If you miss it, you'll be able to connect through a podcast from your favorite podcast channel anytime. Okay, time now for the racing calendar.
Woohoo!
Jeff,
All right.
this is the end of the summer that we're coming up on. Kids going back to school next week, most of them anyway. And I'm thinking, racing should be gearing up for a fall run.
All right. And who are we brought to? This is sponsored by...
Oh, the Texas Muscle Car Club Challenge.
Thank you. I was waiting for that. Thank you very
Okay,
much.
you're
But
welcome.
yes, they had a break last week, but they call it the summer break, and now they're getting into the fall because there's only going to be so many races in each series before they get to like the final cut, and then they go for the championship. However, Formula One is off this week. They will be returning on August 23rd. NHRA is off the same weekend. They're going to come back 20th through the 23rd. So that's going to be
That's the big race.
right. Going to be the Dutch Grand Prix for F1, and then there's going to be the Brainerd Nationals.
Oh, Brainerd, yeah.
Brainerd. Next, actually, it's the 20th through 23rd, correct. Today, you've got the O'Reilly Series for NASCAR. They're at Iowa. That's going to be on the CW
Oh, yeah.
tonight.
Come get some corn.
And then NASCAR Cup is going to be in Iowa. They're going to be tomorrow on the USA Network. Indy, I watched a little bit of Indy practice yesterday and a little bit of practice this morning. It was a repeat there in Portland tomorrow. So that will be fun. Yeah, tomorrow, Portland. Lawnmower racing is off. They're all sharpening their blades and airing up their tires. So we're going to get back to that on the 22nd.
I saw a lawnmower race on one of my reels on Facebook the other day. My God, they must have been doing at least 75 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
They got them low to the ground.
yeah,
They got
there we go,
leaning
yeah.
into the corners. All right, time now for This Week in Auto History. That would be Mr. Marr's job.
Yes, sir. We got a few things that we picked up this week that we thought would be interesting to watch out for. Way back in 1917, racing legend Barney Oldfield took his unusual Golden Submarine to a lot of new speed records. Now, this vehicle was built, is completely enclosed, and it was streamlined and built because a fellow driver, Bob Berman, was killed in an open cockpit race car. So Barney wanted something a little bit safer. So he got with Harry Miller and Fred Offenhauser, and they built this enclosed racer. Now, during his time racing, 1917, for example, he took this vehicle to record speeds. I mean, this guy was cooking, got up to 80 miles per hour in this vehicle. So it's lots of speed records back then. Then the next thing we have is August the 10th, 1907, the first Peking to Paris automobile race ends. Now, think about Peking to Paris. Now, that is 10,000 miles that you got to go. You got to go across the ocean, literally everywhere. There was no modern highways. There was no GPS, no roadside fuel
But they had lots
stations.
of ducks.
Yeah,
Peking
they had to
Peking
cross-
ducks.
Yes, they crossed deserts, and there's even one of these pictures is of the bridge that collapsed when they were trying to go across it. So they had to dig out of the bridge to carry on. And this was actually a picture of the winner that won this race when he was trying to get through this bridge. Now, the next we have August the 11th, 1966, the first production Chevrolet Camaro was built. And it was really a non-pilot production car, and it was completed in Norwood. They created this specifically to challenge Ford's Mustang, and they even invented a little mystery around its name before the announcement. And so they had played a game with it, and it offered everything from 140 horsepower six-cylinder to a 375 horsepower 396. Then coming up next in August the 12th of 1908, the first production Model T is completed. Now, this is important because it really wasn't famous as part of the moving assembly line, but that's what really brought this out and really made it affordable. And it changed the automobile from a luxury item, something that only the rich people could afford, into something that it was more practical transportation. Ordinary Americans could actually afford to buy this. Now they began to run. Ultimately, there was 15 million of these cars that were built and sold. Then on August the 13th, Friday, August the 13th, 1898. Now this one, I thought this was really interesting because, if you go buy a car, you expect it to be really good. But what if you bought a car that was so bad that you complained so much that the car maker said, well, if you can do better, go build your own, which is exactly what happened when James Ward Packard bought his new Winton motor carriage. He drove it home to Ohio from Cleveland, and it did not go well. He had a lot of troubles. He complained a lot. And eventually, Winton told him, if you think you can do better, do it. So he went out and started the Packard Motor Company. So that's what led to Packard being built. And the same thing happened to Ferrari because Lamborghini was complaining about the Ferrari. So Ferrari said, well, if you think you could do better, go do it. So he did. So that's how we got the Lamborghini just as well. So that's a few things this week in auto history coming up that you might find interesting and want to look into a little more.
I did. Yes. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ford Motor Company's upcoming $30,000 electric pickup. Yep, they're going to do that. It's going to be called the Fathom, Fathom, Fathom.
Okay.
Ford revealed the name and starting price of $29,945 with shipping. That's just under the $30,000 threshold executives said the truck would target in a bid to address the industry's growing affordability crisis. They didn't say anything about getting the car or truck charged. The automaker will open pre-orders for the Fathom in both countries in early 2027, Canada included, with delivery starting later this year. Ford will build the truck in the Louisville, Kentucky plant using a new assembly tree process. Good luck in trying to find out what that means.
Okay, what's the over and under on recall? On
Yeah. Less than a year after discontinuing its entry-level Escape and with hybrid sales surging across the industry, Ford is preparing to address both needs with a new vehicle that would be its lowest price model. Ford executives showed dealers at a private meeting in Las Vegas early mock-ups of a small crossover that'll have a starting price of around $25,000, according to multiple people who were in the room. The vehicle, which the people said would be offered in gasoline and hybrid versions, is expected to go on sale in 2029. 29.
Yep.
This is 26. A lot can
7,
happen
8, 9,
between
that's
then.
3
Yeah.
years.
Natural disaster has struck again at Toyota with a typhoon, forcing the car maker to close plants across Japan on August the 7th, just a day after it restored auto output in the wake of a deadly earthquake. As the storm approached, Toyota suspended 17 lines across 9 of its 14 assembly plants in Japan for both shifts because of disruption in maritime shipping. Latest suspensions affect the Corolla, Camry, Prius, RAV4, and the sedan, sport, and crossover variants of the Crown series, as well as the BZ and CHR electric utility vehicles. German auto group Volkswagen plans to overhaul its U.S. strategy with new management and a revised and expanded product lineup, including a new pickup, a company source told Reuters. Marco Schubert, previously held head of sales at Volkswagen's premium brand Audi, is moving to the U.S. to replace Kel Gruner, CEO of Volkswagen Group of America, who is leaving the company. You're fired!
You
That's
know, I've got one
basically
word for
the way
that.
that went.
One word. Again.
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 Yeah, they're still trying to find their place. I don't understand what they're doing. Dodge giving the Charger 6-pack a jolt with a 600 horsepower Super B out of a straight 6. Reviving a legacy badge known for performance, the Super B Launch Edition is the most powerful gasoline-powered Charger of this generation, surpassing the 550 horsepower V8 Scat Pack. Super B employs the same high-output version of the Hurricane inline-6 engine, but it squeezes out more power with custom calibration, larger 56mm Garrett turbos, and enhanced thermal capacity. So take
wonder
that.
if the rental car companies are going to have any.
Ooh, man,
That'd be
don't you
cool.
know? Yeah. Hey, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email. The address info@inwheeltime.com. We're back after this. Stay with us.
Your car is a
direct reflection of you. So don't be satisfied with color fade or a dingy, dull appearance. Get rid of those terrible automated car wash scratches. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is your Save the Paint company. John Gray and his team of detailing experts can help your car's finish without a full repaint. Searching for real experts in window tint or windshield protection? Gulf Coast Auto Shield. Dash cams, radar detectors, Gulf Coast Auto Shield. Got a new car? Get it protected as soon as you take delivery. If you don't know which of the multitude of protection products to go with, John Gray will give you an honest opinion and won't sell you something you don't need. John will help you understand the many options and pricing right on the spot. He's your guy to have your ride looking its best and protected too. See the state-of-the-art shop yourself. Free tours anytime. Gulf Coast Auto Shield is easy to get to, located just south of the Southwest Freeway on the Sam Houston Parkway. Gulf Coast Auto Shield, full-service luxury car care today and online at gcautoshield.com. Gift giving should be meaningful, and we have an idea. A hand-painted custom illustration of your car from one of the nation's leading artists. Now you can get one or a car show poster customized for you, a friend, or a loved one. Bill Sites will be happy to guide you through the process. No matter what the day, birthday, anniversary, or any day, an Autographics custom illustration adds an extra touch of class to any home. Call Bill today, 832-922-0963. That's 832-922-0963. That's it for this podcast episode of the In Wheel Time Car Show. I'm Don Armstrong, inviting you to join us for our live show every Saturday morning on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and our InWheelTime.com website. Podcasts are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeart Podcast, Podcast Addict, TuneIn, Pandora, and Amazon Music. Keep listening, and we'll see you soon.